There is no safety net whatsoever, and in most of these second and third world countries, if they don't get care from these outreach missions, there is just no care, period.
In April of 2009, a group of 32 surgeons, nurses, techs, and translators from various cities in the U.S., as well as a few other countries around the world, gathered together in Quito, Ecuador to provide medical care and support for hundreds of Ecuadorians who had no previous access to medical care. Dr. Edwin Moreano, founder of the World Medical Mission Moreano, led this mission. He was joined by several doctors from the Seattle Anesthesia Outreach, or SAO, a new organization dedicated to providing anesthesia support for surgical medical missions. Dr. Moreano has led these missions for over 10 years and has inspired a loyal following of medical staff to join him year after year. Together, they've helped thousands of patients in need.
I am Dr. Edwin Moreano, clinical professor of facial plastic surgery at the State University of New York at Stony Brook. This medical mission work I started back in 1999, and the reason why I began doing medical missions is because, having been born in Ecuador, whenever I would come to vacation in Ecuador, I would see a lot of kids or even adults with deformities on the street. Deformities, especially of the face and neck areas, that we don't see in the United States because people normally have their surgeries done when they're really young. We always come to the same city to make sure that our patients who need multiple procedures over time have access to us to do those procedures and provide complete care for them. Our medical mission does include plastic and reconstructive surgery, as well as ear, nose, and throat surgery and dentistry.
The free care was widely advertised and ended up in a large turnout of people needing surgery, a need so great that not everyone could be taken care of. Of the nearly 500 people who showed up at the hospital in this impoverished sector of Quito, the surgeons managed to operate on 150 patients in the 4 days of surgeries. For the mission to be successful and go smoothly, a lot of organization and pre-planning is essential. Seattle-based anesthesiologist Dr. Richard Salazzi, a co-founder of SAO, spent weeks gathering equipment and supplies prior to the mission to Quito.
I'm Richard Salazzi. I'm an anesthesiologist primarily at Swedish Hospital. The primary mission of Seattle Anesthesia Outreach is to support the anesthesia and perioperative functions of any missions, international or domestic for that matter, and hope to expand and do support work for a number of other international missions. The planning for these international missions is pretty extensive. From the anesthesia viewpoint, it's packing up all of our paraphernalia, including endotracheal tubes and laryngoscopes and IV fluids, IV paraphernalia, all of the anesthetic drugs, limited monitors that we can carry for the recovery room nurses. The planning is arguably one of the hardest parts of it.
While these missions are challenging to plan, clearly the benefit to the patients is more than worth it. One patient, a 47-year-old woman with a cleft palate, tells us of her struggles and her hopes for a more normal life after this surgery.
Ya tengo 45 años con el labio leporino. Entonces, ahora que tengo la oportunidad de operarme, entonces voy a aprovechar por operar para sentirme mejor en mi vida social, moral y en mí mismo, ¿no? O sea, ha tenido, ¿cómo le puedo decir? O sea, me ha afectado mucho.
The patients' lives are dramatically changed for the better, but really so are the lives of the volunteers.
The level of humanity of the people that come with me has been, to me, very fulfilling. A lot of doctors and nurses and technicians volunteer, and they keep on coming back. Giving me a certain humbleness in terms of seeing the problems that people have to suffer through here in Ecuador and Dominican Republic, and how they adapt and they thrive, although they have all these deformities that they're born with. Just to see the patients' families, how they trust you as a doctor, and all the doctors who they've never met, they never heard about, how they trust their kids' lives, and just to see their faces and their happiness to come to them and to their families for the next generations to come.